Courageous Conversation, again, it started with, let me find people I know, people that inspire me, that really motivate me. And I don't mean like because I read their book or because I've watched a podcast or because I've followed their workshop or their work. I mean, I want to find out who's really crushing it in the world, and in such a way that I could not only just be inspired by who they are and what they do, but more importantly, by the way they live and how they lead. And I want to see if they've got the courage to share how they are. Does that make sense? Everybody give me a thumbs up. All right. I love it. That's important. So we started, and I mean, we've had Elena Cardone on the show. We've had incredible people. The former general of the Canadian Armed Forces, General Rick Hillier, for those who may recall, on the show. I mean, we've had legends on the show. We've had people to the likes of Robert Height of the Miami Heat. We've had people like Larry King, who's a broadcasting legend through the times. We've had Mike Tyson, if anyone is familiar with a boxer, a lover, a biter. I mean, we had him, and he's delighted to come on back. He's promised me he'll be back in season 3, which will be kicking off in December, to talk a bit about his fight, his comeback fight with Roy Jones Jr., which will be November 24th. But without much further ado, you know, we're here for this conversation, and I'm joined by someone who is beyond remarkable, my friends. And I mean, first and foremost, before I even tell you who it is and why he's here, why don't you put yourself in the chat room and let the world know where you are in it. First name, where you're at, because I know that Pat is in the house. I'm not going to introduce you yet, Pat. So just un momento, por favor. That is Spanish for please be still. But just for un petit peu. A little bit, just a little bit. That's a little bit of French. Now, notice that I'm worldly, but put some love in there. Let him know where you're calling in from. I want to make sure he knows that the world is listening. The world is here. This is a 10X nation. We've got Matthew Gold. What's up, Matthew? All the way in from Austin. We've got, of course, Kyan from Fort Lauderdale, but hails from all things Brooklyn. I mean, we got Jan in from Pennsylvania, and we've got Stephen Druth, always from his balcony of Miami Beach. We've got Mike and from Jersey. What's up, buddy? And we've got Catherine, of course, up in Texas, and Jesslyn and from Sherwood Park. Hey, what's up, Jess? Missed you today. Yusuf, of course, to Stuttgart, Germany. That guy's a coach in development, UFC champion in the making. Miriam is in from Dubai, represented the United Arab Emirates, of course. Luna in from California. Christian, of course, who's a man of Scotland, Romania, and everywhere. That's cool and epic. We got... who else we got here? We got Ice Kang, of course, and from South Korea. My man, what's up? It's good to have Christine, of course, always in the 416. That's Toronto. Monica in from Toronto as well. I love it when the 6 is in the house. And Louis, of course, in from Legacy and all things Toronto. We have Jerry Verkowski in from Edmonton, and the list goes on. So that being said, I want to just start off by telling you all the story. And this is a great way to lead up to who I've got and why he's here. As I was talking to a number of incredible people in my world, and I do mean Grant Cardone, and I do mean other celebrities and sports figures, and everyone was always asking me this question, and here it comes. If you're writing down any notes or just want to make a mental note, even before a little swig of the cup of courage that it takes to be here after another week with this thing called COVID, is where's the future heading? And that's a great question. Now, when I was asked that question by NBA superstars and thought leaders, immunologists. I mean, a Stanford professor, as we were sipping back an 18-year-old bottle of something, which I won't tell you if that's what's in here or not. And if I were to admit it, I would lie about it. But I thought, wow, well, where would you look? And so I searched the world to find out what would be the source of such an answer. And one of the names, one of the people, one of the brands I came across that not only answered the question, but is a living demonstration of generating the answer. And that was the Arsenale. The Arsenal, as many of us English folks would call it, and no matter how you call it, this is not just a store. This is not just a brand, but it's actually a movement. And if there's one thing I've come to realize, recognize, and appreciate about movements is, well, they're worth following. Because when you're really on fire, lit up, and passionate about something, there's something that's very, not just tangible, but palpable about it. Y'all get that? Just give me a thumbs up. So I looked up the dude that was behind the mission. I looked up the man that was behind the movement, and I found Patrice, also known as Pat. And Pat's not just the CEO. He's not just the founder, but this guy is the model, the mind, the creative force, genius, and the life force behind all things Arsenal, all things Arsenale. And so I asked Pat, we got to talk, because wherever the future is heading, I'm going there. And so we did. And man, it was like two forces when we first got together, and there was a massive explosion of just sexiness and charisma, all on my part, by the way, and none of which that he had anything to do with. But Pat is here. I asked him to join us today because I know that he understands where the future is going. I understand he has an appreciation and respect for what it means to be creative. But more importantly, I know what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And he's someone that really is a living demonstration of commercializing one's passion and standing for something that does not yet exist, but is absolutely certain it'll come. So why don't we put our hands together and welcome my good friend, Patrice. Patrice, bonjour, ça va?
How are you guys?
My friend, how are you?
You hear me well?
We can hear you fine. Now,
because I am in a special place today for the call.
I can hear an echo. I don't quite. Are you in a studio? Are you in a sound chamber? Where are you, my friend?
Okay, so guys, where I am. So I'm gonna give you some details. I am in a submarine, guys, because my office is in a submarine.
That is super cool. Now, I don't know about you, but I heard a honk, so I'm not sure if these submarines have honks. But I know that you're street level in Miami. You're in the world headquarters. I mean, a Parisian-born man. You are a Frenchman by the way in which you talk, but you are a global trotter. And to find you in a submarine in Miami is just apropos.
Wait. Yeah, I think it's the first Zoom call you do on a submarine, no?
I've never done a Zoom call with anybody in a submarine, and I don't know how many that you do, but it's super cool. So, Pat, first and foremost, how are you? How have you been, my friend?
I'm good. You know, I'm always trying to be good. I think we must show the way. We must keep positive. It's tough. It's tough for everyone. We all have a lot of issues to face. Some of us don't really think what's happening is true, but it's life. You know, life is like a game, and the rules of the game are always changing. So we need to be creative. We need to adapt. We need to keep the smile. I didn't see my daughter and my wife for 10 months, but I make a call with them every day. I know I will see them again. So I'm trying to keep positive because it's just a game. So you have to play the game with the new rules every day.
I love it. I love it. I mean, for those who know, follow my coaching, understand my movement. I mean, I always say that life's a game. Money's a game. Love's a game. Business is a game. And so to hear you, Pat, you know, the CEO and at the helm of a future rising, forward focused, onward and upward type of business. And we're going to get into what is that business and what it stands for. But to just hear you right out the gate talking about how life is just a game. And as the landscape changes and shifts, and as the rules change, you must adopt. And as you pivot, you must play and keep moving forward. So, my friend, it's so good to hear your voice and always hearing you how you're moving forward. So, with that being said, why don't we hear a little bit about yourself? I mean, in my introduction to you, I've never found it as equally difficult to describe myself as it is to describe someone like you. I've actually found my match because I've got a very colorful background. I've done lots of great things, but Pat's the same. This guy has done so much, it almost feels like you've lived 3 lifetimes, given what you've done. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your professional journey that led you to the creation of the Arsenal? Why don't you tell us a bit about you, where you've been, and what you've done?
Yeah, it's funny because when I talk about what I've done in my life, sometimes people could think I'm a mythoman, you know, I'm lying. But and even me now, I'm like 40, 45, and I'm starting looking a little bit on the back, and I'm impressed. And I think I was like really hungry, you know. I was desperately doing things every day, 24/7. My commitment has been completely crazy. And I'm really grateful to my mom who gave me that faith. And I mean, really, I play my life and I ride the thing. And you talk about our meeting, and the moment we share together is that sort of moment are really rare. I remember you came, you enter in the store, you grabbed me like this, and you look really deeply inside my eyes. and you told me some words that I never heard before. Such a quality, such an intensity. It was deep, it was strong. And I call that bromance, you know, when two men, because you are father like me, so we are not gay, but we are like a brotherhood. It's brotherhood and romance.
But not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, it's fine. And I have really appreciated that. I didn't know you before. I was not really familiar with the 10X movement, but it's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, I do some meetings every day with my team, pushing them, and I say to them, guys, you are just doing 10% of what you could do, what you deserve. So push, push, push. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what I've done in my life. It's gonna be like a 5-minute, 6-minute presentation.
And before you continue, just to be rude for a moment and just interrupt you because I love you and you know that. For people that are in the chat room right now, for those who are just joining us, I mean, this is Pat, Mr. Futurist. He sells everything from submarines to used Formula One race cars to Banksy carved out of the wall originals, right through to a brand that would trump the likes of Off-White, Bape, and Supreme, to name a few. So he is super cool, all things urban. But when we met, you all should know, is that I knocked on his door cold. There was no one that introduced us. I never met him before. It wasn't like we were at some shindig or we were both being served beautiful glasses of wine or Chardonnay, and we were brought together by the dynamics of a function. I seriously sought him out because I saw him as an answer to a question that was haunting me. And when we met, I spoke from a place of conviction, of passion, but of power to say, Pat, you and I need to work together. This is how I see it. Sit down. I'm going to tell you how I see it. And you tell me if you agree or align or not. And if not, I'll tell you why we will.
And I think there is no hazard in life. You know, you met the people you deserve to meet. And every day things are happening like that. And you write your own chapters, your own book, but it's already written in the middle of your hand.
100%. So now picking up from there, because there's so many people asking, how did you meet him? What did you say? And it's true. I mean, I feel so, and I want you all to write this down, is that if you can find a way to really, truly, and this is going to sound quirky, but please just bear with me. If you can find a way to fall in love with the people you work with or the people you collaborate with, that is half the battle. And so when Patrice talks a bit about the bromance, there's a part of that that's really absolutely true. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him. If he called me at any time, it's not like I would say no. I am always a yes to working with this guy. And so if you can fall in love with your client, if you can fall in love with the prospective client, if you can fall in love with the possibility of producing for yourself any experience, whether it's a 10X experience or just a simple experience, that's half the battle. And that's where the passion kind of gets unleashed. So Pat, back to you, my brother. Tell us a little bit about how you started your journey that led you to the Arsenale.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to share my screen. I made a small presentation.
You're all prepared. You got a presentation deck and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
You are the first guest to come on board with a deck.
Yeah, so I made that for you. Let me close that. Do you see the full screen or do you see?
We see the full screen, brother. We see the full screen.
So I'm a humble guy, but I think in business, and you should not be really humble. So you can be humble at home at night, but when you face the business, the press, the people around you, you should be strong, confident. So I'm in my PR. I'm called the founder because I have created a lot of things. So I'm going to start with the beginning. When I was 20, I started my career by being a publisher. And I remember when I was 6, I was doing a collection of magazines. I was obsessed about, I'm talking about an old age in the 80s where we were doing magazine and prints. You know, that time where you spent a month to create an image and you look at the image on the text and you come back and you read, and now it's a different era. Now people are like, to produce something, you push on a button and the time you have of attention is less than a second. At that time it was another era, and I was obsessed about the magazine and the press. So when I was 20, I started my first magazine, which was called Intersection. And I consider myself, I say with a lot of humor, I am an ayatollah because I'm really, really hard with myself. And I have a beautiful quote from one of my heroes. It's really important to have some hero, and one of them is Karl Lagerfeld, because he's a crazy fashion art director, German. He had one of the most incredible books collection. He had 80,000 books. And one day I made an interview of him in the south of France, in Biarritz, and he told me, for me, it's the Vogue of automotive. And that's surely the best compliment I've ever had in my life, because Vogue was the best magazine ever. So I'm going to show you some cover I did. And the great thing with that magazine is that during 20 years, more than 50 different editions, and covering 10 countries, we never published any image that we not produced. I mean, you know, in the magazine, they take some press images from press release. Everything you're going to see is images that we did. And it's really important to produce things, to do things. Don't use, produce. So all these covers are showing, the magazine was about, it was about the car culture, the mobility. And I was so passionate about that, because the mobility, it's more than a physical movement. It's a philosophy. It's when you use a car, you are young, you are free. There is a lot of cinematography about the movement. It gives you a lot of experience and freedom. So the guys who are making that machine are really helping us to go beyond. And I had a lot of style about that, because I was living in France, and you know, in France we are good in some stuff. We have the taste. So I was really mixing the design, the fashion, and the celebrity. And during that 20 years, I have met everyone I wanted, from Elon Musk, Carlos Ghosn, Lewis Hamilton, Steve Aoki. So this is all the covers I did, and it was really, really crazy. You see on the right, there is an image that I did. I'm really proud about that.
You got to
try to make some, yeah.
You got to go back, because actually Steve is watching right now.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, hold on. I got to get that back. I'm going to send that to him right now. Cool.
Cool, Steve.
Go. He's listening.
One of the most crazy entrepreneur I've met in my life. He's a genius. The image on the right, I'm going to show you a short video later. I'm going to move a little bit. So the funny thing with that thing is that Audi, they came to me and they told me, oh, we are a bit sleek. We are too conventional. We are too German. What could you do? And I told them, you remember the Rolling Stone in 1977? They sing a Rolls Royce. And they didn't know that, because they were lacking of culture. And in the 70s, the Rolling Stone in Monaco, they put their rolls into the pool of the Hotel de Paris. So I did the remake of that, and we put the car into the water, and we did this crazy shooting. That was my first big thing, and we had tons of press at that time, and that was the opening session of a long series of crazy images. And so the car was literally sinking like this, you see, and the result was that amazing cover.
That is amazing. That's amazing. You know, it just goes to show that there's nothing too crazy that you can't do. It goes to show that when you think outside the box and you don't do what's predictable, this is what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to the expression out of the box, because it's really an expression which is now used a lot. But what is really to be out of the box now, you know? Another image I did for... I'm going to talk a lot about culture, because it's so important. The knowledge is the new petrol. The data is the new petrol. You need to learn a lot of things every day, and you can create and be creative because you have the culture. This car is the Fiat 500 diesel. So it's a co-branding that I made, because I made a lot of co-branding between fashion brand and car brand. And Renzo Rosso is a friend of mine. I was advisor for him at that time. And the guy is crazy about helicopter. So every morning he goes to the office in Milano, from Milano, with his helicopter, which is a pain in the ass for his neighborhood. So I decided to literally show the car in different way. And the car builder, they are always showing the car in the best condition. And I decided to put the car under the helicopter and to create these amazing images. And I'm going to show you also the short movie about that. I go through the, voilà, so that's what we did with that. And it's funny because we always do the thing like that, you know, with the influx. We get the idea, we go in production, we take a lot of risk, we got no insurance. The risk is really part of the game. You need to take risk. You need to have fun. And it's funny because the brand Fiat, they told us, oh, you got the right insurance. Yeah, for sure, we're right. We arrived, we put some ropes on the wheels, and we went on the air with the car.
Hold on, I got to underscore this for everybody that's listening from home. And if you're just joining us, this is Pat. I mean, this is a futurist. Everything cool in the world. He's sitting in a submarine right now, $1 million submarine, which is actually one of his offices inside of his downtown Miami locations. But I mean, from all kidding aside, write this down, is that risk catalyzes creativity. And I mean, right now, he's the walking heavyweight champion of the world of what that means, is being able to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take the risk because out of that will come genius, will come magic, will become creativity. Because if you're not taking the risk, and because this is an adult show, this is rated PG-13, you know, if you're not shitting yourself, you're kidding yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, so if you've got to just push that line, push those limits, and this is what happens. Ain't that right, Pat?
Yeah, exactly. Daniel Ricciardo, your friend.
Oh, my man.
Oh, we love Daniel. He's a genius.
Dude, I got to take a picture of this. I got to say this. I can't believe you got this cover. He just made the cover of GQ magazine in Australia.
I know. You know you are allowed to take only 3 pictures, huh? So you're already 2.
I'm at like 60 already because you're just so damn handsome, and I just love everything that you're doing right now. But I mean, Daniel is an amazing guy. That's another one of our good friends.
How to be cool when you are a Formula One driver.
Mm.
And then I did a lot of campaign also. So every time there is a car in a campaign, the brand are calling me. This is also something really exceptional. So you see the level of production. I never retouched any image in my life. There is no retouching. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I know how to make things. So for that, it's a huge job. We use a crazy French artist making these beautiful elements. We rented a barrage in the Switzerland, and we did that amazing shot. That's not something you can do in Photoshop. There is a lot of storytelling behind that image. That's another crazy things. I had the crazy idea to make that shot for a long time. So there is no Photoshop. This is a 900-meter mountain, and the car is literally sticked under a telepheric, you know, the thing to go above the mountain. So we stopped the cabin into the Alps with a huge height under us. We opened the cabin and we get under the cabin, and we made that shot with a wide angle. And that's really a crazy shot. And I sold that to Peugeot, the French brand, as one of the worldwide campaign. Okay, so after having done so much for myself and working with so many artists, designers, and I have been called by a lot of brands to become more than an advisor, like a creative engineer. I define myself like that because I'm doing a lot of creative things, but it's really important to understand that creativity can drive business. And is it
possible? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to just underscore this because remember, everyone's learning from you right now, right? Everybody. Is it possible to say that when you're taking risk, that's when you get the profile? When you're taking the risk, taking the chances, pushing the envelope, that's when you got noticed the most, Pat?
I mean, if you don't take risk, if there is no danger, if you are not going beyond the thing, you are doing the same thing as others. And if you are doing the same things, there is no point to do the thing. If you repeat something, there is no point to do it. So it's just not taking the risk. It's a complete ensemble of really making better, faster, stronger, getting above. And a lot of things have been done. Huh? We arrived really at the hand of a course. So it's quite difficult to be creative now. It's not easy. I mean, a lot of things have been done. So it's why it's so interesting. You need to find deeply into yourself how I can be better. How can I bring something new on the table? The next example is quite interesting. I've been, you know, when you work in the car industry and when you receive a call from the CEO of a Formula One team, it's like if you like soccer and you are called by the Real Madrid. And so the CEO of Renault called me and he told me, okay, you did so much crazy thing for us. I would like you to be in a team working on a comeback of Renault. Renault is a French brand. They have been in Formula One for 40 years. and they quit for Formula One in 2010, and they came back 5 years later, and they asked me to work on a complete rebranding of the brand. So I'm going to show you briefly what I did for them. So Renault is French. Renault is a popular brand, and I think it's really good to be popular. All my life, I've been an edgy guy, and now I'm much more interested to touch the masses. But you can touch the masses also by being edgy, by being cool, because everyone wants to be cool. Everyone wants to share a part of the cake. So I reused and reworked on the old logo of Vasarely. I made a stop on that because it's quite important. I'm always talking about all reference and culture. If you don't have the culture, if you don't have the knowledge of the past, you cannot create for the future. It's extremely important to have a strong knowledge and a strong culture.
Now I want to interject because for people that are here, I want them to get this, is that when I hear him say couture, or when I hear about heritage, everyone should write this down, is your own history. Like, you should always know your heritage, your history, where your mom is from, where your grandmother is from, where your grandfather's from, where your dad is from. Knowing your heritage allows you to really get to the roots of what gives you your magic, your power, your grace. And so one of the things that you've done, Pat, as I'm getting folks to just write this down, is that you have this uncanny ability to reach back into history to predict and develop and devise the future.
Yeah.
And it's magic because it feels real, it feels authentic, it doesn't feel like a stretch, it's daring, but it's not a departure. Write that down, folks. It's daring, but it's not a departure, which makes it reasonable, it makes it possible, and it makes it believable. So everything that, Pat, you've done in observing your portfolio thus far, and I know you're giving us such an incredible glimpse, but I want to make sure I break this down so people not only get inspired by you, but learn from you. And learning from you means, folks, investigate your past, find out where you're from, understand where your family's from, so that for as far back as you can go, you're like a race car that has a long couture, a long heritage of history that is living in you. Wouldn't you agree, Pat?
Yeah, I think for building the future, you need to know the past. And me, I'm obsessed about the culture. But when I say obsessed, it's quite a disease. You know, if I don't learn 10 things a day, I lose my day. I'm obsessed about knowing knowledge, and I'm really a freak. You know, I'm a control freak. I look at a font, I look at a typo. I know all the colors and the different category of colors, the RAL, the RM, the Pantone. I love the details. You know, I'm literally hungry, like in a kitchen. The job I did for Renault, it was really amazing because first I had a complete white card on the project, and I decided the objective of my collaboration with them was literally to bring some business. Okay, it was to bring some sponsors in a team. And it's funny because the sports industry are super classical guy. They call companies like Coca-Cola and say, "Oh, I'm going to sell you a 30-inch logo on the car." But that's not enough. You know, now we are in another era. We are in the era of the cross collaboration, the co-branding, the partnership. People love co-branding. People love brands talking together. So I created an universe, and I decided to make Renault Formula One team as the most elegant brand on the circuit. So the shoot of the driver was done by Mathieu César, who is the guy who shoot for Eddie Sliman and Yves Saint Laurent. Everything was black and white. I revisited the logo because they were doing a logo with volumes, which is completely crazy. So I did a massive jobs in terms of rebranding, and the result of that collaboration is that when we go and see, for example, Bell & Ross, the watches brand, we were not asking them for money or for putting their logo on a car. We were literally proposing them to create a collaboration between the most elegant team and the French brand. And I did a mission for them for 3 years. I quit them 2 years ago because I came to Miami to do something else, but I received a call from Cyril, the CEO, and he asked me to come back. So I think next year I'm going to be back on tracks because Formula One is above everything.